is over.
In his speech, Locsin also stresses the importance of upholding the rule of law in the West Philippine Sea.
I drew a blood-red line in the West Philippine Sea. You here in the audience met me more than halfway to hold that line, firing diplomatic protests at intruders in our waters, not missing a single transgression, nor tempering the severity of your response.
The outgoing DFA Secretary also reiterates the Philippines' position in the restoration of democracy in Myanmar and the vote in a resolution condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Locsin says he is grateful and proud to step out of the, quote, most respected department in the Republic on June 30th. Now, it remains to be seen on how the incoming Marcos administration will pursue an independent foreign policy of being friends to all and enemies to none. Tristan Udalo, CNN Philippines.
Retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio supports the government's decision. He says China wanted to change the framework earlier agreed upon by both parties based on the service contract system of the Philippines. Carpio adds, quote, to agree to China's demand would violate the Philippine Constitution and abandon the arbitral award. Chinese Ambassador Juan made no mention of the terminated joint oil and gas talks in a Manila forum on Philippine-China relations today. Huang, however, maintains that Beijing is committed to a win-win cooperation between the two countries in agriculture, infrastructure, and digitalization. On handling differences in the South China Sea, the Chinese envoy says he hopes to find ways to properly manage and resolve differences and insists that forging military alliances is not the key to regional security. Incoming National Security Advisor Clarita Carlos finally had a one-on-one meeting with her predecessor, Hermogenes Esperon, for the turnover of duties. The meeting took place on Tuesday, wherein they had a general agreement on priority projects. Esperon said he believes Carlos can, quote, contribute a lot to national security and nation building, unquote. For the Defense Department, Secretary Delfin Lorenzana met with his successor, Jose Faustino Jr. yesterday. Lorenzana says Faustino is familiar with his next job following his retirement as AFP Chief of Staff in November. At the Education Department, the scheduled meeting between Vice President-elect and Secretary-designate Sara Duterte met with Secretary Leonor Briones will take place this weekend. Discussions will focus on the pandemic's impact on students, in-person classes, and the K-12 program. For the inauguration of President-elect Bongbong Marcos, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno has declared June 30th a special non-working holiday to allow the public to witness the oath-taking. Checkpoints will be in place in Manila by June 28th, while a gun ban in Metro Manila will take effect on Monday until Saturday. Protesters will be allowed at Plaza Miranda and the Liwasan Bonifacio. Watch CNN Philippines live coverage of the presidential inauguration on Thursday, beginning at 9 in the morning with senior anchor Pinky Webb and myself. There is a rapid increase in the price of sugar because of tight supply. Authorities await the entry of more imports to stabilize prices. Melissa Lopez has the full story.
Sugar prices have doubled in the past few months, pushing food prices up and business profits down. Owners are getting creative with their solutions.
This buko vendor says a cup remains at 10 pesos but is less sweet.
Siyempre, apektado kami. Kaya lang kung ano lang yung presyo namin, ganun din nun. Tama lang yung dadagdagan na lang natin ang sabaw ng buko para masarap.
This Toron stall already charges more per serving.
Banana cake po namin, 12 lang dati. Ngayon na mas mataas na yung mga bilihin, naging mas mataas yung presyo na, naging 20 na po ngayon. Pati po yung mantika, nagtaas na din po. Hindi lang po yung asukal, pati po yung stick, ganun. Halos lahat po. Ultimo nga po mga gasol, tumaas din po eh.
Unlike other goods, the Ukraine-Russia war is not exactly to blame for surging sugar prices. The Sugar Regulatory Administration, or SRA, points to strong typhoons in 2021 like Odette for the ruin of local sugarcane plantations, thus the short supply. SRA geared up to import 200 million kilos of refined sugar in January, but was delayed after a group of farmers asked a Negros Occidental court to block its entry. Food and drink manufacturers had to compete with retail buyers, pushing prices up. So far, barely half of the import volume has arrived at 78 million kilos.
It's not that easy to import sugar. It is not just that, you buy, you order, and it arrives tomorrow. So minimum of 3 weeks until such time the sugar comes.
Refined white sugar now retails between 80 to 90 pesos per kilo in public markets, nearly double the suggested retail price of 50 pesos a kilo. Last year, it was at 55 pesos. At Kamuning Market in Quezon City, vendors are repacking sugar in smaller pouches. 1/4 kilo of washed sugar is now at 16 pesos. The SRA expects sugar prices to go down, but not sharply as input and transport costs climb.
Mababa talaga yung presyo kasi hindi na mabenta ng mga traders doon sa kanilang binibintahan ng mga food and beverage companies.
The United Sugar Producers Federation has repeatedly condemned sugar imports, which they say hurt local farmers. Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
The Bangko Sentral taps local governments to help encourage and facilitate cashless transactions for consumers. Paige Javier has the details.
That market or your tricycle fare just by your cell phone. But the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is determined to make that happen through its recently launched Paleng QRPH program using the national QR code standard recognized by participating providers. The initiative aims to encourage digital transactions in public markets and tricycle hubs. Bangko Sentral Governor Benjamin Jokno says the program aims to include micro and small entrepreneurs and the communities they serve into the arena of digital finance. Local governments will play a key role in the program under a joint memorandum circular signed by Central Bank and Interior officials. Interior Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya says the department is coordinating with local governments for the pilot implementation.
Our priority right now are the highly urbanized cities because we are assured of a speedy internet connection.
Malaya says the public should be prepared to accept the scheme with technical support.
I think we need to do a social preparation in palengkes, for example, and tell them the convenience. Cashless to. So this is safer.
As expected, officials will have to address the hesitancy of market vendors to embrace the technology.
Unang-una, hindi ako marunong. Gusto ko yung talagang cash to cash para hindi na abalat sa akin.
Mahirap din sir, kailangan araw-araw din kasi kami namamalingki. Ang puhunan namin, pinapaikot-ikot lang. Mas maganda kasi yung cash.
Paggas po kasi, andyan na, yung personal na inabot sa yung pera.
Tricycle drivers also want to hit the brakes on this program.
Ano lang talaga sa amin, yung cash to cash na talagang pag-abot. Gusto namin yung diretsyon. Kagaya lang ngayon na sitwasyon na bayad agad.
Hindi po kasi kung sakali po na ipapapalit po namin, paano na po kaming kailangan na po namin yung pera.
The central bank targets to digitalize 50% of payments and for 70% of adult Filipinos to have bank accounts by next year. Malaya believes the incoming Marcos administration will carry on the Paleng QRPH program. Diokno champions the Bangko Sentral's push for digital transaction, and he will be finance secretary of the incoming Marcos administration. Paige Javier, CNN Philippines.
Interior spokesperson Malaya says local governments can pass ordinances requiring digital transactions. Family, friends, and former colleagues in government of the late former President Noynoy Aquino gather at the Ateneo de Manila University in Quezon City on his first death anniversary. Among those who attended the Mass at the Church of the Jesu are Vice President Lenny Robredo, Senators Kiko Pangilinan and Franklin Drilon, and former Interior Chief Mar Rojas.
A year ago, our hearts fell apart when Noynoy breathed his last. But we returned him to our Creator with gratitude for the blessing that he was. A simple, honest, self-effacing, and decent Filipino. who gave his all without fanfare when he was tasked to serve his bosses.
Aquino died of renal disease secondary to diabetes. He was 61 years old. When Newsnight returns, a private hospital group calls on the health department to stop making excuses and release the long-delayed COVID-19 allowance of medical workers. And as the economy reels from high fuel prices, industry leaders say recovery is still green and go for the tourism sector. You're watching CNN Philippines.
RPN DXKP Pagadian. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda. RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. Live to the world. Pinaagi sa FB page. Karon, mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas kipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. Ang mas kipakuskan ng inyong Radyo Ronda. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Welcome back. The tourism industry's recovery is facing a double whammy amid rising COVID-19 cases and the fuel crisis. But for industry leaders, these roadblocks are not stopping Filipinos from wanting to travel and explore, not just in the country, but also overseas. George Giles brings us up to speed.
Micah Morderno and parents rushed to this travel expo in Pasay City on Friday, hoping to get the best deals for future trips.
I'm a student din, so umaasa rin na ako sa parents ko. So, yun, primarily budget, sana magkasya.
Travel agencies say bookings are picking up this year. Despite surging fuel prices being reflected on airfare, many people are still eager to travel and enjoy not just local destinations, but even places abroad.
The airlines are getting fully booked. Kahit mag-book kami talaga yung mga dates namin, airlines na yung sumusuko sa amin due to a lot of bookings. And the same thing with the hotels, especially with our local tourists.
The tourism department also notes the rising number of foreign tourists. Since the country opened its doors last February, it has recorded over 738,000 tourist arrivals. While it's incomparable to pre-pandemic numbers, officials say that it is still a good sign.
What's really critical right now is if China will open. Because Chinese market, source market, remains to be 22% of our arrivals.
With the Philippines being an archipelago, they say that there's always an island for everyone to explore. And the industry's objective, to offer convenient, safe, and worry-free vacations in the country's scenic destinations.
What we want to happen is that we diffuse the usual destinations and make sure we're keeping it within the sustainable number that guarantees that the destination is still clean, there's still space for social distancing, that it's safe.
People have money to spend, and we just really have to push forward.
The pandemic may have become a major challenge for the tourism industry, but as always, they vow to rise and beat the odds. George Giles, CNN Philippines.
The Wata Wata or Basaan Festival in the city of San Juan makes a splash for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic happened. Meanwhile, Manila holds a float festival to mark 451 years as a city. Amor Santos gives us a look.
Nothing can dampen the spirits of San Juan residents in celebrating the Wata Wata or Basaan Festival for the first time in this pandemic.
Kahit ngayong pandemic ngayon, pero sulit pa din kasi masaya.
2 taon na wala kaya medyo sobrang daming tao ngayon. Yun lang, medyo mahirap huminga. Kaya medyo angat baba lang kasi pag nabasa, medyo mahirap na huminga. Pero masaya pa rin naman.
Talagang tradisyon na to na meron tayong basaan.
Mayor Francis Zamora arrived early at the Pinaglabanan Shrine to remind people to keep their face masks on. He says 400 police personnel, members of the city's task force Disiplina, and barangay officers were on patrol to enforce health and security protocols.
Konting tiyaga, kung mahirap man mag-face mask kahit basa, it is for our safety. Yung iba, sabihin nila nasira yung face mask nila o basang-basa na, aabutan ng ating mga mamamayan ng face.
For the blessing, Zamora led a motorcade of fire trucks in touring the city and dousing water on the people. The fire truck he first boarded on overheated. He transferred to another and the show went on. Some 40 fire trucks were deployed. People of all ages went out of their homes or temporarily stopped work to join the festivity. Some brought their own water hoses, water guns, and containers. There are penalties for those who will splash dirty water, barge in vehicles, and threaten or harm others.
For officials and many residents of San Juan, this tradition is not a waste of water. According to their parish priest, this festival honors the city's patron saint, John the Baptist, who baptized Jesus Christ.
Maging simbolo ng pagbabasbas at pagpapalalim ng ating relasyon sa ating Diyos at sa kapwa.
Ano po yung feeling nyo kapag nababasa kayo?
Napakasaya at bagong tao kami ulit.
Meanwhile, in Manila, its first ever Nilad Festival, commemorating its 451st founding anniversary as a city. The city held a float parade from Quirino Grandstand to Cartilla ng Katipunan and also honored historical figures Raha Sulaiman and Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. Amor Santos, CNN Philippines.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno was among those who attended the Nilad Festival. He said he's taking a break from politics, but he's not closing his doors to public service.
Beta-beta muna ako sa Gedli. Kung kakailangan ng tulong ng pamahalaan at kung makakatulong ako sa taong bayan, why not? If I'm going to be needed, I'll be around. I'll be happy to be of service. But for now, Citizen Isko.
Moreno says he has not received any offer to join the Marcos administration. Moreno is covered by the one-year ban on appointments for losing candidates. This just in, the AntiGraft Court, the second division of the Sandigan Bayan, allows the Marcos family to present evidence in an ill-gotten wealth case filed against them in 1987. The AntiGraft Court denied the state's motion to declare the defendants to have waived their right to present evidence due to their failure to appear in a court hearing in 2019. The case involves Rebeco and Erlinda Panlilio, alleged business associates of the late former President Ferdinand Marcos, who were accused of acting as dummies in the purchase of several properties through illegal use of government funds. The court sets the next hearing for July 7th for the defense's initial presentation of evidence. Coming up, there is no stopping basketball star Kai Soto, who went undrafted in the 2022 NBA draft. Find out what's next for the Filipino cager here on CNN Philippines.
Fried chicken? Timplang happy with easy-to-cook
RPN DXKP Pagadian. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda RPN. RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. Live to the world. Pinaagi sa FB page. Karon, mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas kipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. Ang mas kipakuskan ng inyong Radyo Ronda.
Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
You're watching Newsnight. 58 names were picked in today's NBA draft. Soto, who would have been the first homegrown Filipino player in the league, was not among them. Ahead of the rookie selection event, Soto had workouts with teams like the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers. In the process, he sprained his ankle, temporarily hampering his goal to impress scouts and coaches. But what's next for the 7'3" athlete? In an interview with a news outlet, Kai's agent said that he's passing on an NBA off-season tournament to play instead for Gilas Pilipinas. But Kai clarified this in a tweet saying, quote, "No decision has been made about me not playing in the Summer League. My agent misspoke," unquote. And taking their talents to the U.S. and Canada very soon are the members of a Filipino band, Ben and Ben. The group is going on an overseas tour, kicking off in the U.S. state of California this September 23rd and wrapping up in New York on October 15th. The band has more for their fans, though, after announcing that a music video for the song Paninindigan Kita is coming out on June 30th. Meantime, the wait is over for ARMYs and Charlie Puth fans. Charlie and Jungkook dropped the music video for their collaboration Left and Right today. The song trended online quickly, topping the US iTunes chart less than 4 hours since its release. Here's a sneak peek of the music video. The video has over 1.7 million views and counting. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pio Ontiveros. And before we go, take a look at what lies ahead for the country with the infrastructure sector leading the road to progress.
While the pandemic has hampered 2 years' worth of growth, it is only a matter of time before the private and public sectors fill the transportation and construction gaps. With high hopes for better days to come, what kind of life do we foresee down the road to progress?
San Miguel Infrastructure has an array of ongoing and proposed infrastructure projects. The new Manila International Airport, the MRT-7, are the ongoing projects of the company. Our infrastructure projects are envisioned to benefit both private and public, as well as alternative modes of transport. Taking into consideration the environment, we have included in our designs green open spaces,
Avocados have become a dietary staple among Filipinos. Not only are these bright green fruits delicious, they contain an assortment of vitamins and nutrients that help our bodies function properly. For example, did you know that they can help regulate our blood pressure or they can improve our vision? On the program today, we'll talk more about the health benefits of avocados. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and welcome to Mental Health Talk on CNN Philippines. In case you need any more of a reason to add avocados to your diet, our guests are here today to tell us about its many health benefits. With us is Ms. Pia Batua Mabuhay. She is the co-founder of NutriCoach Incorporated and the president of Sports Nutrition Association of the Philippines. Also with us is Dr. Maricar Esculto-Khan. She's an internist and clinical nutritionist and a consultant from the Makati Medical Center and the St. Luke's Medical Center in Global City. Now, avocados are a good addition to an already nutritious diet. Now, we'll start the conversation with Ms. Pia. Ms. Pia, what are some of the nutrients, some of the vitamins that can be found in avocados?
They have a very unique nutrition profile, and aside sa good source of good fat siya, kilalang kilala, monounsaturated fatty acids, ang avocado contains lots of fiber, mayaman din ito sa vitamins and minerals such as B vitamins, vitamin K, potassium, copper, vitamin E, folate, lutein, beta-carotene, and so on, and also vitamin C. So these are actually antioxidants.
Among the avocado's many nutrients is potassium. Now, a single avocado has about 140 milligrams of it. That's even higher than the potassium that you can find in one banana. And this mineral is vital in maintaining normal blood pressure. Now, Dr. Maricar, I'll talk about that. How is potassium related to someone's blood pressure?
Potassium is one of the most important minerals in the body. So it has a lot of role in terms of regulating our fluid balance, the muscle contractions, and the nerve signal. So all of those have a role in the functioning of our heart. Now, potassium is the main electrolyte inside our cell, while sodium, which is another mineral, is the main electrolyte outside of the cell. An appropriate fluid balance in our body is kept by proper amounts of both potassium and sodium, such that if you have too much sodium and low potassium, you will tend to have a higher fluid in your circulatory system, so making your heart exert an extra effort in terms of pumping the blood, and this can result in the elevation of the blood pressure.
But if they are already diagnosed by a doctor to have high blood pressure, what is your advice to them? Can they forgo their maintenance medications and just eat avocado?
Of course, you need to address the health of your diet, but this is still an individualized management. You need to consult with your doctor if ever there is a need to change the dose of your medications depending on the degree of control of your blood pressure.
Ms. Pia, when it comes to the recommended amounts of potassium in a day, how often can they add avocados into their diet to meet that goal?
Yes, avocado, good source of high in fat siya, but monounsaturated fat, which is the good fat that helps lower bad cholesterol or the LDL. So as long as you eat them in moderation, usually the recommendation is 1/3 of an avocado to one small piece is enough. So avocado kasi it gives about 50 to 80 calories per serving. So in moderation, and also dapat mindful tayo sa pagkain.
Is this the same unhealthy fat and cholesterol that is seen in animal meat, animal fat?
This is different from what we see from animal fats. Avocado is rich in monounsaturated fatty acid, especially oleic acid. So ayon sa mga studies, ang avocado, it reduces LDLs but do not lower the HDL, which is the good fat naman. So cholesterol is a soft, waxy substance that can cause clogged, or as we understand, yung mga arteries natin bumabara. So keeping your LDL or the bad cholesterol level low reduces your risk for heart diseases and stroke.
What is this ratio all about, and how does the LDL and HDL relate to each other?
LDL is branded as the bad cholesterol because it is the type of cholesterol that becomes deposited in the blood vessels. Okay, so we do not want our blood vessels to become hardened by these cholesterol deposits because it will result to an elevation of your blood pressure. It will exert an effort in terms of your heart distributing the blood to the body. Now, HDL is branded, or the high density lipoprotein is branded as the good cholesterol because usually it is the one that collects the cholesterol from the periphery and brings it back to the liver. So it achieves the opposite process of deposition. You want to have an elevated level of your HDL compared to the LDL.
Now, a healthy gut contains healthy bacteria as well as immune cells that can guard against infectious bacteria, viruses, as well as fungi. Now, one of the most effective ways to improve its health is through getting enough fiber. Dr. Maricar, tell us how this nutrient improves gut health. How important is fiber in a person's gut?
Fiber can come in two forms. It can be insoluble fiber and the soluble fiber. Insoluble fiber plays an important role in cleaning our bowels, preventing constipation, and helping to keep our bowel movement regular, while soluble fiber helps in terms of lowering the blood cholesterol and sugar levels.
Dr. Maricar, let's start with someone's blood sugar. Avocados, having a low glycemic index, how does this help regulate someone's blood sugar? How does this help with trying to manage a diabetic, for that matter?
One of the benefits of fat in the diet is actually to slow down the absorption of sugars from the diet. Thereby, when that happens, it results to a slow sugar spike in the blood. And for patients with diabetes, we don't want sudden blood sugar spikes. Basically, glycemic index is the capacity of a certain food item to cause a spike in the blood sugar. And avocado is among the fruits that are classified to have a low glycemic index. If ever you will make recommendations or you will make meal plans for your patient, it is ideal to include this also in their daily requirements.
When we return, more of the avocado's other health benefits. We're your partner in healthcare. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk. Healthy food promotes healing. As we discussed earlier, those high in potassium can help lower blood pressure and keep our hearts healthy, while those high in fiber can improve our gut health. Now let's talk about anti-inflammatory foods, because these can help reduce inflammation, improve immune function, and lower your risk of certain illnesses. Now, while inflammation is a normal response in our body up to a certain point, it's how your immune system reacts to irritation, injury, or even infection. If it lasts too long, it can be extremely harmful. Avocados contain some anti-inflammatory properties that may help relieve some of this. Let's talk about the role of microinflammations have on a person's body, in a person's gut, for that matter.
Inflammation is not good. Okay, you do not want to have inflammation in your body because it can have a bad effect in your cells. Okay, so whenever we design diets, we would want to promote something that does not promote inflammation. So what are the food items that usually promote inflammation? Processed foods, or those that are super high in simple sugars. Inflammation is contributory to the development of various diseases in the colon, such as the development of cancer or other ulcerative conditions that result from inflammation. Now, if you are speaking about the blood vessels, the mechanism for atherosclerosis or the hardening of your blood vessel walls is also resultant from inflammation.
Avocados are also packed with vitamin C as well as A and E, which have significant antioxidant levels. Ms. Fia, in terms of how many avocados do we need to take in a day, what's your tip for our viewers? How many avocados is good in order to maximize these health benefits of this fruit?
Avocado, as being part of the diet, magugulat tayo, ang recommendation is about 1/3 only of an avocado, and it actually will provide enough vitamins and nutrients like fiber on a daily dietary requirement natin. It's about 20 to 30 grams of fiber per day. So yung overall intake pa rin yung titignan natin. So we should still get these nutrients, these vitamins, these minerals from other food sources.
Let's talk about antioxidants. Avocados are high antioxidants. When it comes to antioxidants, Dr. Maricar, what is a realistic way to look at how antioxidants work?
It prevents oxidation. And medically speaking, as we know, most of the, if not all of the chronic diseases that are known to us results from oxidative injury or oxidative stress. Okay, so how you will relate that to inflammation naman. Inflammation is triggered by this oxidative stress. So when oxidation is prevented, inflammation is also prevented.
How is vision health improved with avocado? What is it about the avocado? What does it contain that could improve someone's eyesight?
Okay, so lutein is a type of pigment in food that have an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory property. So lutein is usually concentrated in a region of the eyes called the retina, where it acts as a scavenger for harmful compounds. Again, products of oxidative stress. So usually they may damage the eyes if they are not managed accordingly. So if you have a good source of lutein in your diet, you have a lot of scavengers that can prevent injury happening in the area of the eye.
Now, Dr. Maricar, another health benefit of avocado is with expectant mothers during pregnancy and in breastfeeding. How does avocado help in this manner naman?
Avocado is also a rich source of folate, which is an important vitamin needed in pregnancy to support the developing baby's brain development. Okay, so actually half of an avocado can already meet 14% of a pregnant woman's requirement for folate daily.
Ms. Fia, when it comes to folate, how important is this, not just for pregnant women, but for women in general? Would you recommend that taking a multivitamin would be able to accomplish this goal of getting all these requirements, or getting it from the diet is more recommended?
Tinitingnan kasi natin palagi is whole food first tayo muna. So food first muna tayo. So kung tingin naman natin na nakukuha natin ng sapat yung nutrisyon na kailangan natin ng pangangatawan natin, we actually don't need multivitamins unless recommended by your doctor. So always, it is best to consult with your doctor.
As with most things, too much avocado can have some adverse effects. We'll discuss some of these when we return. Your health is our mission here on Pagpapalpa. We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk. Now, many people would be surprised to know that among the many benefits of avocados is that it is great for our skin. Ms. Fia, paano naman nagiging maganda ang pagkain ng avocado para sa healthy skin?
Dahil nga ito in variety of essential nutrients that may prevent the negative effects naman of aging. So vitamin K, C, E, A, B vitamins, these are antioxidants. And antioxidants, as we all know, may maganda siyang naiitulot sa ating mga kalat.
It's also said that the avocado is a recommended fruit for those who are diagnosed with psoriasis. Dr. Maricar, could you tell us more about this and the link of the benefits of the avocado fruit with psoriasis?
Psoriasis is an example of an inflammatory autoimmune disease. So clinically, if you see patients in your clinic, patients with psoriasis presents with red, itchy, scaly patches on the skin, sometimes particularly on the elbows, on the knees, and in the scalp. So since the mechanism of the disease is inflammatory, patients will benefit from including in their diet foods that have a known anti-inflammatory effect, and this includes avocados.
As we all know, too much of anything is a bad thing, and that also goes with avocados. What are some of the health risks that can happen if people eat too much of avocados?
It also provides calories, and excessive calorie intake may trigger or may also promote weight gain. A serving of avocado provides about 50 to 80 calories, so that's just 1/3 of an avocado. So if you're aiming to maintain, again, your weight, it's very wise to measure the portion or be mindful of the portion of your avocado. So yun nga, para hindi tayo mag-overload on it. So we have to balance everything from our nutrient intake, from carbs, protein, and fat. So we have to be mindful.
Now, Dr. Maricar, let's talk about those who have an allergy to this fruit. What are some of the symptoms that they may feel? Because there are certain fruits, especially those who have some allergies to bananas, to kiwis. They may also have this allergy with avocados. What are some of the signs and symptoms that may point towards an allergy for this fruit?
Speaking about allergies, it is not common to encounter patients who have allergies to avocado. But as we know, usually allergy can manifest in various forms. It can be cutaneous, which can present as itchiness in the skin or the appearance of wheals and rashes. So allergy can also manifest as gastrointestinal symptoms. So patients may have feelings of bloatedness or diarrhea.
What are some fruits that may have the same amount of nutrients as an avocado, but maybe hindi sila allergic naman doon? What are the other options aside from avocados?
Aside from avocados, there are a lot of fruits that we can still take in with good source of fat, but hindi sila same with avocado. We have like kiwi, we also have yung ating mga chico, bananas. So they also have very rich in antioxidant potassium that is also good for our heart. And it can be, kung gagamitin naman natin sa cooking, it can substitute avocado when it comes to its creaminess and in kanyang texture.
Now, before we go, any final tips or advice for our viewers on how to maintain a healthy overall self?
Let us remember that there are general recommendations for a healthy diet, but if you would want something that is more tailor-fit based on your needs, okay, because some people can have special considerations, special requirements. So it's still best to consult your registered nutritionist, dietitian, and physician for you to be able to have a well-designed nutrition and diet plan.
And Ms. Fia, any final advice?
It should be, yung overall nutrition or diet, it should be individualized. So it's best to consult with a medical nutritionist, dietitian, and also a physician. Kung meron tayong mga medical ailments, we have to address them with proper supervision with this health medical professions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maricar Escotar-Khan and Ms. Fia Batua Mambuay for being with us today. We definitely learned a lot more about the benefits, the health benefits of this tiny fruity avocado. Thank you everyone for watching Mental Health Talk. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and we'll see you again next time.